Hello everyone and welcome to another Modswell video. I'm your host Maxwell. It's that time of the week again where we go through my top 5 brand new mods and share my thoughts on them. Before I begin though, I'm getting a lot of requests to do another video a week. If I did this, what kind of things would you like to see me do? I'd be happy to do single mod showcases or just listen to other ideas, so leave those in the comments below. For now though, let's just dive into the content. In 5th place, I've chosen 2 mods, both from Substill. Both are performing a very similar task, which is why I bundled them together. Here we have Max Grass LoD and Max Tree LoD. Both of these are in the work in progress section, so to get your hands on them, you'll need to favourite them over on Bethnet. Luckily, I've left links to make that easier for you. As you've probably already guessed, these 2 mods are actively increasing the draw distance of their specific item. This is something that on PC you can change with a simple ini tweak, and I've actually left the changes Sub has made in the description below, so you can just take a look at that and copy it if you like the look you're seeing. However, on Xbox we have to wait for a good Samaritan modder to come through and make these changes for us, and this time it was Sub who made this, and he has absolutely smashed it. Being able to see the grass actually taking effect in the distance is a simple and fantastic way to ensure your immersion is never broken. I will say, most good tree and grass mods do cover this in some respect or other, but very rarely do they go this far. This is definitely one of the easier ways to turn a cheap setup into something that looks far superior, using a simple grass edit. So in my game, Unique Grasses, this mod is really drawing out and blending extremely well. I really despise the vanilla LoD. It looks like it's made of Play-Doh, and this somewhat covers that. Again with trees, it's really useful for a more vanilla style. Something like David's trees or bark and pinery textures coupled with this is going to make that look fantastic. But here's the thing, be sensible with the textures you're using alongside this. Draw distance on a heavy grass mod is basically asking for your console to scream in pain. But it's kind of worth it for the look. It's likely not going to be the most fun or consistent when playing long term. Here's the great news for you light modders, or stylistically Vanilla Plus players. The grass mod comes in at 428 bytes and the trees are a tiny 279 bytes. But I'm going to say it again, really think about what you're using alongside this. And do remember that if you're using a tree mod with a different styling and a LoD of its own, I wouldn't bother using the tree version. For example, I'm using Oblivion trees and I wouldn't use this LoD alongside that, as what's available is just more than enough. If you'd like any further help with this or your setup, then please ask in the comments or come and join the Discord where we'll be around to help. Up next is a mod that's making having a family even more rewarding. In game I mean. Here we have Fare Thee Well, Spouses and Children Give Blessings. This mod is a very simple concept, but does really help with making that specific aspect of the game feel more rewarding. Simply put, you'll be able to speak to your spouse and children before leaving for a quest. Let them know what you're up to and they will grant you a blessing to assist with your journey. You'll even be able to double up by getting one from your partner as well as one from one of your children. However, there are possible downsides to this. If they aren't too fond of you, they can actually grant you a curse and make your life harder. This is going to be fantastic from a role-playing perspective, and staying at your own home and sleeping before a mission will make a ton more sense, as will just being a decent family member. Each of the blessings or curses lasts 5 in-game days too, which can be extremely helpful or even an extreme hindrance. What's really great about this mod is that it's fully voiced to accommodate the new mechanics. Each of the conversations are even spliced from in-game lines using 29 of the game's voice types. This again really helps with the immersion factor around this mod, and at 13.4 megabytes, it's also really easy to slot in. I advise using this alongside other family style mods that allow for things like more adoptions. It will also suit a ton of home mods too. Personally, I use Lease Rest, which has a ton of inbuilt features that will meld really nicely. However, I know a ton of people that have had issues with that, so just use your favourite player home and it will be fine. This mod in particular is going to really suit those immersive orders where eating, drinking and sleeping in a nice warm place is vital to your survival. I highly recommend this mod if that is your playstyle. In 3rd, I've gone for an awesome mod for those mage builds out there, you know, like the one that I'm making and just won't shut up about. Here we have Staff Casting SE. This is a really fun little mod that means that you can cast one-handed spells through staffs or wands that this has added to the game. All you've got to do is go to the blacksmith and craft yourself one of the 3 new wands or 3 new staffs, then equip the spell to your hand and equip the staff. This is going to allow you to use the item's charge instead of magicka, saving you in those difficult scenarios when you're out of magicka or just for fun role-playing purposes. Let's face a fact, Gandalf is awesome and this is going to help you mages pretend you're something a little bit closer to him. Some spells however aren't going to work alongside this. concentration spells, master spells, and anything that is two-handed or summons a two-handed weapon, which personally, I think seems fair. If you try this, you will find they simply won't be recognised by the items and you'll do nothing whilst trying. If you try and use a modded spell under those categories, this mod isn't able to detect what they are, so it may work, but certainly it's going to look a bit strange and potentially bug out a little bit. During my testing of this mod, I decided it would be fun to go full Gandalf mode with a staff and a sword. This is really cool, and it allowed me to use magic in a more powerful and thought out way without worrying about resource expenditure. It isn't the perfect answer to the magical problem in Skyrim, but it is a more balanced one than others have tried. What's important is, this looks cool and it works fantastically, and it does all of this for a minuscule 836.9 kilobytes. I recommend using something that allows you to block with two hands whilst using this mod. If you do, it's going to serve you extremely well. Don't sleep on this mod if you want to be a true mage. Moving on to second place, where I've opted for vampire clans and bloodlines. This mod is creating more distinctive vampire factions across Skyrim. It's basically reworking the clans to be more in line with each other, meaning one may focus on one style of magic and combat, another will feel different and more removed from the last. Vampires in the vanilla game were basically just all the same as each other, not a single point of disparity between the bloodlines, and honestly, this always annoyed me. Of course we had the Volkir vampires, which were different, and this mod isn't going to change those. Currently, this mod is a work in progress, but not in that section. We only get 2 dungeon and vampire edits at this point, but don't let that bother you. The author is working on the other vampire groups and using their spawn locations to create clans. Currently we have edits in Pine Moon Cave and Hamer's Shame. Both of these locations have been occupied by the vampires of Clan Orlok. This is already a really good introduction to the mod, and it's showing us exactly the kind of edits the author wants to make. However, they aren't done yet. I'll talk briefly on a few edits that are planned so you can get an idea if this mod is something that's going to suit you. First off, we're going to have facial reworks to certain vampire clans to give them a more unique identity. Clans will also have increased numbers in their dungeons to show growth and power of certain groups. An introduction of 4 more bloodlines with different styles and skills, 8 more vampiric dungeons will also be repopulated by these clans, and a potential edit on vampires attack cities, so that mod will also feel more fresh and locationally accurate to the clans in the area. And whilst this mod should really be downloaded on a new save, the plans for updates will not require this due to how they plan on implementing these changes, although the author has stated waiting for a dungeon reset may get the first download working on an existing save, so all hope isn't lost. I've been asked to make a vampire load order quite a few times, and this will absolutely be making that list, and for 36.6 megabytes, it's fairly easy to slot in, although I do see that cost going up with the amazing ideas that are planned. But with vampires being so dull in the base game, I will find the space almost regardless of cost. The final point I want to make about this is that the edits made will allow you to use other vampire edits such as Vampirium or Sacrosanct, as it doesn't edit those features. However, if you want to use better vampires, there is a version specifically for that. I've left a link to both versions and the PC edition in the description below. And finally, it's time for my favourite mod of the week, and this was a tough one, but eventually I landed on Thaumaturgy, an Enchanting mod. Whilst I have definitely pronounced that wrong, don't hold it against the mod itself. This is what I'm currently describing as the mysticism or Odin of Enchanting, going through and editing those vanilla enchants that were either too powerful or just utterly useless to have new effects which are better balanced throughout the game. I've always been a huge fan of Summer Mist, which unfortunately this just isn't compatible with, and there is no intention of making a patch, but honestly it isn't needed. Summer Mist is fantastic for added variance, but honestly isn't balanced well with the vanilla effects. This being the only set of enchants in the game brings about a fantastic balance that I haven't had in some time. It's also adding in enchantments that fit alongside Simon Magus' mysticism spells, so you won't even be missing the extra enchantments from Summer Mist anyway. No shade to Summer Mist, by the way, it is one of my favourite mods of all time, but I've used it so many times that it is borderline blended in with vanilla to me. As I'm sure you know, there is an awful lot of enchantments in this game, so I won't be able to go through them all. However, for a full list of edits, I highly suggest checking out the Nexus page, which will let you know each and every edit made for weapons, armour and clothing. Instead, what I'm going to do is walk you through the idea behind the changes to each group. First up is weapons, where elemental damage hasn't really been changed at all. Instead, this mod ends the crafting loop and perks creating too much power. Absorbing effects have been edited to no longer steal from characters without their requisite stats, so if the enemy is out of magic or stamina, then you can't take what isn't there. As for things like Turn Undead, the Illusionary Enchants or Banishing Enchants, their rate to proc has been increased to 25% to make them more viable as an option. When it comes to armors, you'll now only be able to put similar enchants on a maximum of 2 items. This is to create more diversity in builds and again remove the chance of becoming OP. A nerf has been placed on the Fortify skills to again stop you from becoming overtly strong. Armor and alchemy boosts will now stack additively to reduce the power creep and end the boosting loop. An enchantment that fortifies a stat or regeneration of said stat will be made weaker than in the vanilla game, but only by a little. Simon has also removed the additional boost from the found items when compared to the player created ones. Finally, it's time for what will most affect me, the mage gear. Basic robes have had their enchants entirely removed. Other items of clothing with magicka regeneration abilities have been halved from 50 down to 25% due to their prevalence in the game. College robes have also met this nerf, however they have been given a new boost in their respective school of magic, so an illusion robe will give you 25% reduction in illusionary magic cost. This more than makes up for the initial nerf, and alongside most combat edits, you will find this more helpful anyway. College robes outside of a specific school of magic will have no enchantment at base. This is to allow you to simply go and create your own whilst retaining the in-game style for role-playing purposes. So I've just done what I always hate doing and I've just read from the Nexus page. But what that doesn't tell you is exactly how it feels to play with, and honestly, these edits feel so accurate to how the game should have been shipped. This is no surprise though, as Simon Magus has always been considered one of the best Vanilla Plus modders in Skyrim. His edits are truly outstanding and bring balance to the game. Basically, he is the chosen one. The final point I'm going to make is the cost. At a tiny 4.5 megabytes, this is going to be added to the list of why aren't you always using these mods. Fantastic job, I highly recommend playing around with this one. Once again, we have a ton of amazing mods and a few that I simply wouldn't have had the time to test with a weekly release, or alternatively, whilst testing an order, these cost a ton and came out just too late for me to move things around for a video, so I want to go through a few that you may have missed. First up is Whimsical Texture Collection by Clophus. This mod is basically a bundle of clutter and item retextures using a static mesh improvement as well as vastly superior textures. It's going to change how everything in your game looks, but it will cost you 552.6 megabytes. If you're a big SMM user, this pack, which has textures in 1, 2 and 4K, isn't really going to be too much to shell out, but for those who aren't, it is a huge cost, but for a huge difference in class. We also have Rogues and Raiders. This mod is going through your more boring enemies and overhauling them to be more challenging, fun and rewarding. It improves on their skills, tactics and abilities to ensure you have a more enjoyable playthrough. However, it will cost you 181.5 megabytes, which is a fair slice of your data. Definitely worth messing around with this one though. Up next is Draugr Upgrades and Improvements. This mod is overhauling the Draugr and the Skeletons to be a more deadly set of warriors. Not only is this changing their style of combat and abilities, this mod is also allowing their armors to be of actual use as well as lootable. If you're a dungeon delver, this mod is absolutely for you, as long as you have 245.5 megabytes to spare, that is. Finally, we have Mr. F Solitude. For anyone unaware, Mr. F is a top tier texture maker, a true artist and turns cities into something a lot more beautiful. His edits are always of a high standard, as well as really smooth to run. I highly recommend checking out the links to see exactly what this one has to offer, but taking the time to go on a tangent and look at his other work too. Solitude is going to set you back 139.7 megabytes, but damn will it be worth it if you're graphically minded. On that, I'm going to call it. As per usual, I'll be stuffing my description silly with links to each of the mods mentioned, as well as communities like Reddit and Discord to help everyone out. I'll also be sharing my load orders down there to give people ideas of what might be fun to play with, and of course a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page in case you're feeling flush and want to donate something. No pressure on that at all though. If this video has been helpful, I would really appreciate any likes, comments and of course subscriptions. They push my work out further with YouTube's algorithm. If you've made it all the way to the end, then I'd really love you to just leave a fun little dad joke in the comments section. The best one will be pinned. Otherwise, thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.